Hey guys, welcome to this Ruby webinar training. My name is Lev. We have our special guests from Austria, Alex and Stefan, who are the Ruby masters. They're going to be conducting this Ruby basics training with our good friend Colin from Linus Media. Welcome, Colin.
Hi.
How you feeling?
Good. I'm caffeinated. I'm ready to go. Machine's running, and I'm eager to take a look at your new software.
Awesome. So I'm going to pop out, and I'll control things in the background. So this is not going to be a live session. This is going to be pre-recorded, and we hope for people to see it and kind of look at how Ruby goes as a basics training. So I'll give it to Alex to proceed, and Alex, take it away.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Lev. Hello, and a very well welcome also from my side. Today we're going to have a first look at Ruby.
I'm very excited.
You've played around a bit already with job control, so I'm not going too much into the laser details, and mostly show and explain really what's the difference and how much faster and better we can actually work now with our latest product with Ruby.
Yeah, let's check it out.
I will just start sharing my screen.
Okay, here we are.
So probably one of the biggest differences compared to our existing laser software is that Ruby is really a fully web-based, browser-based laser software. So this means you can directly enter it via your web browser, via Google Chrome, in this case here. And in future, we will also have some online availability of the software. So this means then you won't have actually to install anything on your PC anymore. You just log in online and can actually start using it right away. So you do not have to deal with any time-consuming and sometimes administrative installation procedures. So you basically just type in your username, your credentials, your password. In this case, Google Chrome already auto-filled in it, and just directly log into Ruby.
Okay.
And you have everything available right here straight away. And well, for the beginning, I will show you just a very, very simple, quick job. And for the demonstration reason, I have also some kind of simulation tool that's simulating the laser device on my end. To actually show you the full process. And well, prepared here on my desktop, I just have some PDF files, which customers would typically receive from their customers. And you can just directly drag and drop a file now and drop it to Ruby software, and it's automatically imported now.
Okay.
And you have everything right away here. And you basically have the full options and flexibility now to edit your designs directly in here, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But for now, we see everything is in here, and we just directly create a job out of it.
Okay.
And right now, we see here now the virtual laser bait. In my case, I have a Speedy 400 Flex connected to it as well.
Me too.
Great news. And when moving around the job a bit, we see already here the crosshair on the laser bed. So we see my laser is connected to Ruby, and I can actually move this around as well. And the laser would now also automatically, the laser head would now also automatically be moved.
Okay.
So for now, we just check the material if it's selected properly. In our case, there's some rubber assigned to it. We just check for some wood.
Having a nice search function is really handy when you have those huge tool libraries.
Definitely. So we will see Ruby is not just searching for just the names of a material, but also for all kind of tags that are attached to it. So you can have additional information to your material to make the search and the finding of it even easier.
It's a deep search.
So,
cool.
Yeah, exactly. So we assigned the balsa wood and just push it to the laser, and it's now in the queue. Device is ready to run, and we can start running now. And because of the simulation in the background, it's super fast now. It already finished in 2 seconds. But yeah, the laser would just start it as well.
Awesome. Now, can multiple people push to this queue? So say I had multiple users and everyone wants to use the laser. We can have multiple jobs just in that queue from multiple sources?
Well, there's some exciting news on this. Right now, as of today, we really have this one-to-one relation, one-to-one connection. So you have one PC more or less connected to your laser. So basically only one user, one person can be logged in on this PC. But already now we have some kind of user management in there. So you can create multiple users that can access your Ruby account. And with the next update coming mid of September, we will actually have some pretty cool network capability in Ruby as well. So remote capability. So everyone in a local network, so in your company's Wi-Fi network, for instance, can access this computer that is connected to Ruby. So and everybody then can actually fill up the queue and to just go to this computer connected at the laser and just press start there then.
Beautiful. Yeah. So we don't have to, hand laptops off to people. People can just, send it all to one source. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the even more exciting news about this is you will actually also be able to use your Mac PC.
A Mac as well. Well, I guess it's browser-based, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good. So you see how easy it is to actually just import a job and start lasering right away. But there's actually more to it, which I'll show you with this file here now, with our template. And some users are familiar with it already. So this is the sample file we also had in our Ruby promotion video. And we see here there's some text contained to it. And one of the biggest advantages of Ruby is that you can actually also import the text, so the font with a PDF file.
Oh.
So it's not just, rastered via the printer driver or vectorized. It's really the font imported to it. And we can now click on it and just change the date to the correct day.
Beautiful.
And create the job again out of it. And we actually can we multiply this now 4 times, let's say, and we can actually even edit it directly from here. So we can do some kind of small batch serialization. So we can just click here on the laser bed, edit it, and just quickly update this number.
And then it'll pull right back into that array already? Look at that.
Exactly.
Awesome. Now, this is probably more of an advanced question, but and may not be implemented yet, but is like automatic serialization of like bigger jobs something that's going to come to Ruby or already exists?
It does not exist already, but it will definitely come. So we see this is a big thing for our customers, and so real serialization with variable data will definitely be included in Ruby as well.
Cool. That's awesome.
So and also on here now we have it placed on here. Typically for a type plate we would have some metal with it. We see anodized aluminum, for instance, and push it again to the laser, to the queue. Have it here. It's being processed and can start right away again.
And there we are. 2 seconds later.
the fastest
speed version.
That's the fastest laser on the market.
Yeah, infinite G-forces.
That's it.
Cool.
Well, you see, there's already some drawing and editing functionality in terms of design creating in Ruby, but we definitely also see that this is only the start, really. we definitely also see that some users still, and we've been talking about this before, you're using your Illustrator, so people still want to continue with their graphic editing software. So I also prepared a job here in CorelDRAW. So people still, of course, everybody is free to use the program they prefer most. But also for these cases, that to really make the entire process as smooth as possible and as flexible as possible, we also have some pretty nice import functionalities with a hot folder with automatic imports. And when installing Ruby, you also get this nice little application here in the taskbar. And when right-clicking on it, you also have the menu on here, Open Import Folder. And when clicking on this, you get to this Windows directory, folder directory, and you can save basically the files directly to here, and it will then automatically be imported to Ruby.
Cool.
So I just copy this now, and when publishing the PDF here, we type this in here, and we save it now to here, to this folder.
So if we already have a repository of designs that we want to bring into our laser, is it easier to just drag into that folder, or can we reassociate where that folder is? Like, say I have a folder called designs. Can I link it to that place?
Yeah,
well,
at the moment it's a standard folder. So we recommend that you use that one. In the future, it will become configurable. Yeah, so you can have multiple ones or your own one. So that's the start at the moment.
Exactly.
It's beta software. I get it. Yeah. And there
Well,
are other tools you can use to just sync things over, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, for the devs within our customers, there's some kind of workaround how you can do this right away, but we want to really provide a proper solution how to customize this folder. But we definitely see this, changing their directory, for instance, on a shared folder on a OneDrive, for instance, or so.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, with my laser jobs, I have everything stored into a Google Drive folder. So keeping it across all of my machines is important. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, we also made some improvements on this now. Because you see, this import folder contains now a subdirectory processed. So this one, the rocking chair is now saved to this. Because until now, really, the import folder only imported the files if you are already connected to Ruby. But for exactly this example with a shared drive somewhere, you just want to fill up this folder, and whenever you are at the operation PC then, and you log into Ruby, you want it to be imported. That's now coming with the next release, with the next update as well, this functionality to really get the full use of this.
Fantastic.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this just as a few examples. So what you can do, how you can actually work with Ruby. I will now just briefly go over some of the details of each of the phases, because you might have seen already that when we are actually processing in the workflow, that also the selected icons here on the top change. So basically, we try to really divide the process from really idea to part in some sub-steps to make it for users easier to get started with Ruby. So first of all, basically, we have a management phase where you can really administrate all your jobs and review your customer data. Then we're having a design phase that's really there to work on your design files, but also to create entirely new design files. Then we're having the prepare phase where you really do all the preparation for the laser operation, assigning material, placing the jobs on the laser bed.
Yeah.
And then we're having the produce phase, where it's really all about the production. We will have a closer look at these phases just in a second as well. So for now, for the start, the management phase, obviously we see here the design list. So this basically contains all the design files we have imported in Ruby. And a frequently asked question we get is what file types can Ruby import? And you actually see this when you click on the button here. You see here the supported file formats. So first of all, we're having the PDF, because pretty much every program today can create a PDF file. So that's the most generic, the most common one. But of course, also we're having PNG, JPEG, bitmap files. Very handy as well, the SVG files. And of course, we are also supporting our current Trotec files, so the TSF files. So you can also import files from job control to Ruby.
Gotcha. Is there, I can't really see that it's very fine. Is there Illustrator import at this time, or do you want to translate to SVG first?
Not yet. So currently it's not included, the Illustrator file. But well, as we are supporting SVG files already, and to be honest, Illustrator file format is very similar to the SVG file. We will definitely have support of Illustrator file formats in future as well.
Fantastic.
And one thing we will also provide to our users is also support of native CorelDRAW formats.
Yeah, same thing. I think those are the two softwares that I would expect most laser users to use.
Yeah. Good. So we're having the design list in here. Of course, you can also sort your files by name, but also by creation date. Of course, you also have the search capability to find all your different files. You can export them, you can delete them, multi-select them, whatever you want to do here. And then we're also having the job list. So there's a difference between the designs and the jobs. And basically, we have seen this in the design phase. We actually create a job out of a design. So in the prepare phase, then we're having jobs, and the difference more or less between them. So the designs is really just pure graphic information, but as soon as we attach it, with material information, giving it coordinates where it should be on the laser bed and so on, it's becoming a job. And as we are working on a really connected software product, we will also have the possibility in future to control several lasers from one PC. And when having this capability, you can also distribute jobs within these lasers, because they already are attached with the material information. And this means right now here, also from this page, we can just drag and drop a job from here and put it on the laser card, and it's now directly added to the queue.
That's why there's lasers. So like in theory, say you had a big factory with 10 lasers, you don't want to have to recreate jobs for each different laser.
Exactly. So you can just search in your management phase for the jobs you've done in the past already, and just drag and drop them to the laser, and your operator can just hit the run button directly then.
And off they go.
Yeah. So that's more or less the management phase.
One thing on here I would like to add is, as we got some questions about that as well, as we got asked if we have folder structure there. This is why you see this one column with the tags. Yeah. So we are really focusing with the new software, no matter if it's in the management phase with design and jobs, or if it's about the materials, we're focusing on tagging things and therefore giving it a possibility to sort. And with the tags, we have more flexibility. Normally, you can put it in one folder, but with the tag, you can give it multiple attributes. Yeah, so you have more functionality
it's a smarter search, right? By being able to tag is different. It's the same thing I do with Gmail. I can put things in tons of folders, but if I have one thing that matches, a bunch of different customers or some sort of material or some
sort of material, sizes, color, things like this. Yeah, you can also have the tags here, and we are not limited with the tags here, so you can use any tag number that you want for the different stages. So
cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah.
So we just create a new design directly from here, and we automatically jump now to design page. And well, also here on the side, we have the list, with all the different design files stored in Ruby. We can also search for them if we want to find something. You can also, for instance, also copy paste just elements from one design to another, just with the copy paste shortcut on your keyboard. But
that's really interesting.
You can also create entirely new designs directly in here. So we're having some drawing capabilities, some drawing functionalities already in here. So for instance, let's create a sign, for instance, nameplate or so. We just enter precise coordinate. So we have it 150 by 100 millimeters. We can unlock and lock the proportions of the geometry. We can also, fit the page to all the objects in here. We can also add some text directly in here. We can also, as you've seen, also transform objects directly in Ruby. So just scale them, make them smaller, bigger, but of course also rotate them as we want.
Beautiful.
Also give them precise rotation coordinates.
Cool.
And also for the text in here in the property card, of course we have the possibility to set different font styles, but also to change the font itself.
Now, are those system fonts? So if I install a font from online, will those all work?
Exactly. So during the installation of Ruby, it will take all the fonts that are installed on your PC, plus because it is a web-based product, a web-based technology, it also consumes all the free fonts available by Google.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, then we also have the fill and unfill possibility in here. So we can actually also unfill the text and then just, kind of kiss cut the outline, for instance.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also, if you would like to, for instance, not cut the outside, but engrave it, you can also adjust the line thickness of objects in here. And then, of course, also mirroring functionalities.
Great. So if you're doing stamps, like say you needed to make a quick rubber stamp, there's no reason to hop into Illustrator. If you're just doing a hello Linus, you can do it all right in Ruby.
Well, for the stamps, you actually need a particular functionality as well, the flanks, to really create produce a proper stamp. And this feature, this particular small feature, is not yet in Ruby, but of course, this will come very soon as well.
And that's fair. I know you guys do stamps to a whole nother level than what I do for stamps. For me, this would be fine. But for you guys, I understand that job control is very well defined for doing stamps.
Yeah, exactly. You also can import an image to here. For instance, the tractor here.
Heck yeah, I like tractors.
Who does not?
People I don't want to know.
You can also resize it, so directly import it to here. And of course, you could also just, for instance, create some holes to here. And you can also use keyboard shortcuts to do proportional. So for instance, if I'm hitting the control button now, it's doing the circle, the ellipse proportionally. If I remove it, you can actually create a real ellipse, for instance.
Maybe, Alex, it would be good just to quickly switch to the shortcut list.
Yep. So you just have to hit the question mark on your keyboard.
I have a question. Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
And you get an overview about all the shortcuts per screen. So when you switch to, for instance, the management screen, you will actually get all the shortcuts for this screen.
That's smart.
Especially when you're starting, I think that's a very handy tool, because to know everything from scratch, it's impossible, and different programs have different shortcuts. So it's good to have them.
Yeah.
And they change depending on what screen you're on. So that
Exactly.
makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know, particularly if you're drawing on something, you definitely sometimes need other shortcuts than when placing something on the laser bed. Drawing capabilities, drawing functionalities. Of course, we also see the color palette in here. And well, first of all, as we know from job control, we're having these different colors where we can assign the different laser processes to it then. So we can just make this the red color. The circle, for instance, as well.
I see how it's made a new layer now. Yeah.
Exactly. I said color, but we see it already here. And that's one of the biggest differences, really, that Ruby is not using colors anymore. It's actually working with layers. And it's also recognizing layers when you import the PDF file. This gives us two major advantages now. The first one, and this is probably one of the best one, is because of this, a color does not need to be RGB anymore. It could also be CMYK, for instance.
Great.
And Ruby will still recognize this.
Yeah, this reduces like the amount of processing it takes to get into job control to, for everything to talk properly. You can set up your whatever program you use to just output the layers and then assign the layers to what you want them to be, and essentially drag them in, and everything should populate.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, there's a kind of logic in Ruby already that if the color code matches, we can directly put it to one of the colors in the list here. If the color code does not match automatically, then it's like an unlisted layer, and you can add it to one of the layers there, or even ignore it. So maybe sometimes you import graphics with multiple layers and you don't want to have the outline frame or whatsoever, and then you just don't assign it. So that makes it much easier, because actually after the drawing you can edit something.
Okay. Yes. Now, can we rename these layers? They look to be 1, 2, 3 right now, but would they maybe smart import what the layers are called in Illustrator, for instance?
Yeah, definitely. That will be possible in the future. Right now, it's really hard-coded as they are named.
That's fair.
But
we got it on tape.
Sorry?
But it's coming. We have it on tape now.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing about this actually as well, because on the Ruby product side, on the Ruby website, there's actually also, and this is really something new, there's also the product roadmap contained, so the development roadmap in there. So really everybody actually sees what we are working on and what is coming next to Ruby. And this is also the call to everybody, really. We want to develop this together with our users, with our customers. And therefore, we are also asking for feedback, really, because we really want to develop this together.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. I see the roadmap. Look, you go like even past 2021. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, but for to show what Jeff just said, I also prepared the PDF file with CMYK colors in there. And so this is the bird job we've seen before, and we see now here. First of all, just minimize this the black layer in here. We're having this greenish one, which is CMYK, and Ruby says us layer not recognized. So it's importing it and gives us the hint that this layer could not be matched to one of the predefined ones, and I can just select this one and just put it to the right layer now.
Okay. But so the other red that's below it was also not recognized. So
exactly. So this is also CMYK.
Yeah. Okay.
So we also just multi-select all of them, put them on the red layer as well, and it's now
all on the same layer. Boom.
All assigned. And well, so the one thing is really the colors. That's more flexible now, but also really on when working with vectors. So especially when working with Illustrator right now, you really always had to make a vector, make a line to 0.001 to really make it, to really tell job control it should be treated as a vector and not being engraved. And well, you see it on here already on the heart, that this line is definitely way thicker, and you can just select it, and we see it's actually 2.83 millimeters, and it's still recognized as a vector. So we can change it right here. But actually, even if we would not change it and we just leave it like it is now.
Yeah.
And
can you select to etch or cut it as a vector?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So we create a job out of it. In prepare phase now, we see that this is also displayed now thinner and being treated and recognized as a vector. But for instance, if we should say the red one should also be engraved, we see it's now being treated with the full thickness and would be engraved. But if you say...
This eliminates so much back and forth.
Exactly.
Like, go back to your design software, oh, my line isn't the right width. Go back into job control.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a time saver.
Yeah, definitely. And well, this was one of the goals really of Ruby to provide all the options and the flexibility really user needs and have everything in one program and do not switch to different programs anymore. Can you imagine if you just forget about this and you have to process through the entire printer driver process again?
Yep. Yeah, I can and have had to deal with that in my laser history personally.
Yeah, and also the same thing is when you're in the prepare with the job already there and you see, okay, it's way too big, it's way too small, you have to print it again. Yeah, and also here you can just drag and drop it in the prepare phase on the prepare screen to fit it perfectly to your object.
Yeah.
So that
and by being able to work with like SVGs and in the short future like raw files, it eliminates like you making a file just for the laser. Like if you go back and edit your file, it automatically updates, both files.
Yeah. So 3 more functions on here. First of all, also the filter functionality. So if you want to, work on something in detail, you can just hide, for instance, the red layer. Yep. Then we also have the functionality really to list only visible objects. So right now, if we just expand this card here as well, we have all the different objects in here. But for instance, if I zoom in on something and just want to work on something particular, you see that the list now also just shows me really the objects I have here on the sheet as well, on the page as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is pretty handy if you want to work on something really in detail.
You're focusing in on one thing. Okay.
Exactly. And another one, which I create a new job for it, a new design for it now, is you can also work on the object order. So
so like cut inside before outside. So that makes sense.
Well, not just cutting, but really, if you standard is really the layer view, but you can also switch to the object view, and you see now the order of the objects really in the design itself. And if we the circle, the ellipse now is on the top. If we put it to the bottom, we see that it's now hidden by the top object as well.
Yeah. Classic layers functionality.
Exactly. But everything included in Ruby now. Well, and then, of course, a very much requested functionality for job control users being able to also rename files directly in the software.
Finally.
And, well, we just go along with this one now and jump to the prepare page. So we again create a job out of it and have a closer look at the functionalities on this page now. So first of all, on the left side, also again, we're having the design list, the design list. And of course, you can also, place multiple designs on your laser.
Can you drag multiple jobs into this workspace as well? Because I saw there's both the designs and the jobs tab.
You mean select multiple jobs and then import them at once?
Yeah, exactly. So if
yeah.
like on the bottom there, bottom left, you have jobs. Can you also bring multiple jobs into the same space? Say you have, a whole table and you want to run, 1, 2, 3 jobs.
Okay. Well, really, as the job is more or less the entire plate with all the designs on it, it's always one job. So you can always execute one job. But of course, you can just copy paste, for instance, the designs you have in one job and paste them in another one.
There you go. Okay.
But you can place multiple designs in here. Again, of course, you also have the search functionality in here. But then you also have the job list with all the different jobs you prepared already.
Yeah.
Then
one big advantage on
sorry,
that one,
yeah.
if I can jump into that, big advantage compared to job control is that we are not limited to the boundaries of the job anymore. Yeah. So one thing we saw in the design phase is, Alex, if you can just switch back quickly to the design, and if we create a new one, just with the full sheet, just a new one maybe, and a circle in there, an engraving circle also. Yes, perfect. So,
Okay, yeah.
so the white area around is now your whole job. So if we would send that one over, to the prepare, you see that you have the big sheet, but just a small circle in there. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
before with job control, we were limited to these boundaries. Yeah. So if we duplicate that one now, to get a second one by having copy paste on your keyboard shortcut, you can now actually align the circles to each other, even on the corner. Yeah, so we are not limited with the full sheet size anymore, and that gives a big advantage also with space saving. Not a fully automated. I just didn't want to say the nesting word.
Why not?
Because it's
well,
not
it's
fully
actually
automated.
It's actually kind of manual nesting.
Exactly. You have the possibility to nest something manually, which was not possible before. And that's a big advantage on that one as well. Yeah. And to get rid,
control is better.
Yeah, exactly. And to get rid of this boundary, or this additional space around, because when you now click on the circle, you always see the anchor points around, which are way too big. There is one specific button in the design phase, and that's really important. We should point out, Alex, if we go back,
you can actually edit it directly.
This one up here,
Shrink
this one is shrinking it just to your graphic information, so you're not having any additional space somewhere. And now it's much easier to handle. But it would not bother us, because we can anyway put design to design or even overlap designs. So you could now also put one design over another. So we're not limited anymore here, and that's a big advantage, I think.
Yeah, we're going full GoldenEye there.
Yeah.
So catch that reference. Okay. Awesome.
Well, and one thing here is also that in the prepare phase now, where you actually see your laser bed and your materials, basically, you can also add some cut lines directly to here. So, for instance, if you want to separate some material, you just insert a cut line. If you want to just cut out this particular circle, for instance.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. In my laser experience with my laser, one of the most often used things for me is my control is able to just jog and cut a line, and being able to just send a line and like use it as a laser bandsaw essentially is really nice.
Yeah. For us as well, I think that was the most requested feature we wanted on every trade show.
Yep.
You just want to cut the felt or the fabric or whatever, and just
whatever it is,
do a line, and that's now super quick here.
Yeah.
Laser table saw, the world's most expensive table saw.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing we also see here when you move objects around is that automatically these blue snap lines appear as well. So that really helps a lot to perfectly align different objects to each other.
Is there a hotkey to disable that if I don't want snapping?
Exactly. Just on here, snapping on, snapping off.
Boom. And now you can free drag. Yeah, great.
Good. So that's the toolbar on here. Then of course, again, you're also having the name field, the tag field. We didn't pay attention to this one before on the design phase. This is on the design screen as well. And you can just directly add the text to it.
And so, where are we adding this text to? Like to the square we drew rather, or are we adding it to the job?
To the job. In this case, to the entire job.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to add it to one of the designs, you have to do it in the design.
In the design.
The square is actually not a design separate. Yeah, it's part of the job in this case because you just drew it there.
Yeah. So we actually see this here on the working area card as well. So all the different designs and the objects that are contained in the job are listed here as well.
Gotcha. And now those circles, they're called new designs rather than ellipses because they're raster, correct?
Well, not really. They're called new designs because I forgot to actually give them a proper name in here.
Gotcha. You dragged them in. Yep, that makes sense.
It's a design name.
Yeah.
You know, if
we were in the design space, it would have been called ellipses.
Exactly. If you import, for instance, a PDF, the design is automatically named after the PDF. And if you create a job, the job is automatically now named as well after the design.
Smart. You want to retain as much of that information from whatever you're bringing in. That makes it infinitely more searchable.
Yeah. And you see also the information, so the file ending on what file it was, in this case a PDF, for instance, or whether it was a JPEG, PNG, SVG, is also included in there.
Yeah.
So you know also what was your original file format. Then you're also having the coordinates on your working area, on your laser pad, which can be edited in here, and the dimensions, proportions again, rotation, and one thing. Let's jump to this one here. Is you can also, of course, transform the designs in here. But if you actually want to reset it, for instance, to your original
you can bring it right back.
Sorry?
Okay. You don't lose all that information.
Exactly.
Exactly. Even if you
I'm
rotate
familiar
it.
with, where if you blow it up and then you've lost all of that data, like you can't
just reset
it as a new 100%. You can never go back down to whatever size it actually was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and then there's the laser, the material card, and we've seen this before as we did select the material in here, and this is actually one of the biggest changes in Ruby as well compared to anything else, because you are already familiar with laser technology, but especially if you start with a laser, we know that everybody is thinking, why is this so complicated? I just want to cut a piece of wood. I just want to do this kind of engraving. I just want to do a dark engraving. I just want to do a deep engraving. And this is why we actually introduced something called the material effects, because we really want to provide this possibility, this option to our users to just select the desired effect I want to have on my material.
Okay. So I won't have to have like deep dark etching or light etching for different materials of the same thing. I can say I want to do a deep etch on a piece of 5mm wood.
Exactly.
Like 5mm wood, and then just deep etch or light etch.
Exactly. So this is what we are now working on, and really we are putting huge resources into this now. For Ruby now, as it is at the moment, there's a kind of logic. It will automatically import all your parameters stored in job control currently. So you get all of these parameters you already worked out during the last months and years. So you're not losing them, and it's automatically imported to it. But we'll be working on now kind of online global database where we're actually filling this information in. So all the different effects you can create for a particular material, and you can just select it directly from there and get started. So really make it as simple and easy as possible.
That is a huge job. Like I had to create my own cut library for all of my materials, and it is so much work.
Yeah.
I don't think I can get that through to anyone who watches this enough. That is incredible. You can, take material off a shelf and know that it's going to produce a result. Wow.
Yeah, and probably what you already saw when you did your own parameters, you most of the time named the job to the material name, like, okay, this is my parameter that I go very deep, or this is my parameter to just do a light cut vector engraving or so. And this is what these material effects should be in the end. Yeah, you should not be have the need to rename the balsa wood to have balsa deep engraved and balsa just kiss cut. You have the balsa, you have the main material, and then you have different effects below them with the parameter settings already there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, this might be an advanced question, but can users create their own settings for that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We can show you in the material database. Yeah.
Yep.
Very
I will
cool.
just show you some more hints on here, and then we jump to the material database. Well, and it's also, we have seen this before, you can also just easily switch or assign the different layers to a particular effect, for instance. And one thing I would like to show now is we see that the red square we created before and the blue circle, they are now some kind of transparent, blurred out. So we immediately see that it's not being processed right now. So first of all, right now in here, we say we have the definition that red should be cut. And as we're having this fully filled rectangle, this cannot be cut, so only engraved. So if we put this on engrave, it will automatically be solid. And we see immediately that it will be engraved as well.
Gotcha.
And then we're having the blue ellipse in here. And we see the blue layer right now is not yet assigned to a effect yet.
Okay.
So we can now assign it to the engraving effect, and it will be engraved as well. And for this, I will just quickly jump to the material database and go to the rubber. I will show this a bit slower just in a second.
Dark detail, quality, speed. Wow, that's a lot of effects.
Yeah. And one effect in here as well now is the masking effect. And we see now, because I just changed the parameters in the database, that they are currently different to what is stored in our job. So it also tells me that the data was modified, and I can just reset it now with what is in my database. Or I could say I want to overwrite what's in the database or just save it as a new one.
Add a new, wow.
Exactly. So we reset it now, and we also have the masking effect in here now. And we just put this on the red one on the engrave as well. And if we assign the blue layer now to the masking effect, we see that you see the blue circle is now masking the red one, and this area would not be engraved now as well.
Yeah, so you can occlude areas that you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, smart.
So that's the masking effect. I just wanted to show this now. And then two more things. We're having the processing rules in here. And there's something very interesting in here as well. So first of all, we're having the inner geometries first. So when cutting, of course, we are familiar with this already, that the inner geometry should be cut first. But then we're having some option and possibility called the skip overlap and cut lines. And
if you have ghost lines, it just skips them. That's great.
Exactly. Or going to design and having a new one, when you're just having some rectangles and you duplicate them, you will only get the middle line cut once.
Yeah.
When it's overlapping, if you activate this option. So first of all, of course, it saves you a lot of time, but it also saves you a lot of material if you activate this, because you can really just put them as close together as possible.
Yeah. And yeah, it saves time and material.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the outcome is better, because if you have one of these cut lines and you cut them twice at the same space,
Yeah, you end up with
it's
an
melting
extra
away, or the gap gets bigger or something like this. So
Yeah.
like if this was acrylic, you would end up like losing your nice flame polished edge.
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
exactly.
this, and also in particular when talking about the acrylic, you're just transferring more heat to your object, and you're actually going the risk of deformation, for instance. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
And then you're having the laser card, which just provides you with information with the coordinates of your laser head, XYZ, that you can actually also move it around in here.
So like if you were to try and do this in your simulator here, like how would moving the laser head work at this point? Like, say you wanted to move your laser head to where that job is currently located.
Well, there's one thing to this, which I want to show. And because I said that we can actually also just drag and drop our laser head via this crosshair now. So we can just directly and just jump to here, minimize it, update it. And we can now just directly put the laser head on the corner, and the laser head will now directly move to there as well.
Yeah.
And particularly if you want to have a look, if your design, if your job actually fits on the workpiece, you just put it somewhere. So typically you would have your laser somewhere, move your job to here, and now I just drag and drop the crosshair, move it to here, and immediately in a second see if it will fit on there.
Yeah, that's nice. The amount of times I've started a job and like, yeah, it'll fit, and then and forgot to run a frame around the part, and then you end up wasting like a huge chunk of material just because you missed like a corner or your material was skewed.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad to think about in hindsight.
Well, and what typically happen is that you actually see, okay, well, it might not fit on here, so the laser, you just with the keyboard, you just put your laser to where your workpiece actually ends, and then with Ruby you just drag and drop your job and just decrease it and resize it, and it will fit on there, and that's it.
Lovely.
So there's no, you do not have to just entirely create everything again, and in worst case go back to Illustrator or CorelDRAW and redo everything. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like I don't want to push blame on Job Control or anything, but this is so much more user friendly.
Yeah.
like Job Control can do a ton. Like I was looking through the settings, and it's like this is 90% of this stuff is like super advanced. I'm never going to need this. And I don't doubt that Ruby will get to those points, but I think it's how it's presenting it to the user is infinitely more approachable.
Yeah. Well, and if you just do not want to move your crosshair around, you can also just lock it, and then you cannot accidentally move your laser.
Yeah. Okay.
If you do not want to do this. Well, and then we're having the Q and the push to laser button on here. And before we have seen when I hit the push to laser, it's really pushing the job directly to the Q, to the laser Q. And if we just hit Q, then it will just add it to the Q, but we stay on here. And we can then just take this one, for instance, Q it as well. And take another one and Q this as well. In this case, I get the notification that the material, from the job is different to what is in the database. And when we go to the queue now, we see all of them are in here. Exactly. And we could actually now just click one that we want to process, for instance. So we can just select any one and hit the run button. And we always see here on the top as well which one is selected. Or you can also change the order. So if you are operating multiple users and one person, for instance, is always at the laser, you can just, for your operator, rearrange the order as you want it, because maybe there's a particular job from a customer that needs to be processed urgently. You just put it to the front and will be processed next.
Okay, so I see in the preview window, like I see the art, but where's the laser head? So if we're able to really move the laser head however we want, I think it would be pertinent to see where the laser is.
Well, in this case, it's really more or less the entire plate, the entire work area
Right.
that's being transferred to there. So more or less you're doing.
That's what it's showing. Yeah.
Yeah. So more or less, if you're really working on small pieces, for instance, you would actually do the positioning before and just push it to the laser and directly process. But in cases like if you fill up your queue, you would typically have an entire sheet that is just filled up, and you always place it to 00, the top left corner.
Okay, so that's the workflow. It's not you wouldn't send, like, if you're manually putting in a tiny piece and you need to align it, you wouldn't be doing it this way. But if you're doing just job after job after job, then you'd be loading them into the queue. Yeah. Gotcha.
And well, for those who have seen the promotional video of Ruby, you might have also seen that we're working on something like a touch display on the laser. And particularly when looking at this option, we will also further enhance Ruby with some functionalities to additional positioning, as you just mentioned, in terms of information on your laser head.
So in general, the positioning happens in the prepare phase, but there will be an option to modify, fine-tune, or change it then later in the queue directly on the machine. Maybe you have to
have
a different piece,
all the
or
way
you
up
have
to
to move it a
press
little
go.
bit differently.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good. So then here on the top, we also have again notifications. So you always see the latest actions, the latest activities happened in here. We can dismiss them. We're having the laser connected to it, the users. We can also change the password directly from here, for instance, or log out.
I wonder if you could set that up as a push notification. So, if the laser's processing and you're in some other part of the shop or you're doing something else, your phone would go off and, oh, you're ready to change the job. That'd be an interesting feature.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have the main menu here. Sorry?
Yeah. No, go on.
Okay. Well, and then we're having the main menu here on the left side, where we're having the four main phases as we have seen before. And first of all, then there's also the materials, the material database contained in here. And well, we have seen this before. First of all, we're having the list of the materials, again with the search capability functionality in here.
Okay, and I see we have speed listed as a %. If different machines run at different speeds, how do those scale?
Yeah, good question. So there will be coming a solution for this as well.
Okay.
So we are definitely aware of this and we're working on this. I do not want to tell too much about this yet, but there will definitely be a solution, because really what we are aiming for is that more or less you can just send it to the laser that's most suited for your job then.
Cool.
Well, so the list of materials in here, as I said, there are the different effects in here. You can also, assign the layers. If you're having typical, if you're having typical situations that you say my black layer typically is always the engraving, my red layer is always the cutting, as we are familiar with this from job control as well. But you can also set up all kind of configuration, for instance, what's most suitable for your workflow. And then there's also the possibility of advanced options in here to really adjust everything. You are familiar with the very enhanced material database from job control.
Yes.
And then the effect list in here, which we have seen before, where you can just assign effects to your material as well. So you really can create entirely new ones. And you can also create an entire new effect. So for instance, if you if you have seen that the typical example, engraving 5 mm deep, for instance, and okay. And we add this now. Okay, for the anodized aluminum, it would not be ideal. Let's assume it's wood.
That's a powerful laser.
Powerful laser.
I mean,
Let's
this
assume
is a
it's some
laser.
wood.
It could do it if you give it enough time.
Give it enough time,
True.
yes.
True, but then you would typically have your correct power to it, and the next time you're working on it, you can just immediately assign, okay, I want to have a 5mm deep engraving on this, and you just go ahead then.
You just drag it on.
Yeah.
Cool.
One very nice feature here, Alex, we should point out, I think, is the favorite button to predefine, let's say, your main material. For example, you're doing only type plates. So your material is anodized aluminum, and that's your favorite one so far. Then you can put this little heart symbol to it.
Yeah.
And that means whenever you print is the wrong word, whenever you distribute the design to the prepare, yeah, that's the standard in the list. Yeah, so it's not ordered by the alphabet or by any sorting. This one goes first, and then if you want to change it, you can do it with something else.
Awesome.
So as we have seen before, in my case, there was the 2.3mm rubber assigned as my favorite material. If we, as Stefan just said, for instance, take the aluminum and
Add to favorite.
it's actually the aluminum. I renamed it. So we save it.
I see.
We make it the favorite now, and then we see it's the favorite now. And the next time we promote a design to a job, it will automatically be assigned with this material.
There we go. Yeah, like for my shop, I always run 1.5mm Baltic birch. You know,
Exactly.
So
this would be
90% of the time.
Yeah. So this would be your favorite material then, and well, this way you also ensure that if this really, as you said, 90% of time doing this, you have the right settings, the right parameters always.
Yeah, there is no need that you rename the name of the material to be first in the list. Yeah, so you just put AA or 00 or something.
Yeah, typical examples. And well, you can also just create entirely new materials just by the overflow menu here. Create new material, import it from a file. So you can also, for instance, sorry.
Like importing, so you can, say a material provider gives you their file for Ruby, which would be amazing. I hope that happens. But also, if you want to back up your custom lists and send them to some other location, or someone else is doing some work for you, you can just send them.
Exactly. At the moment, you can export it. Yeah. In the future, we are of course aiming that you interchange it directly within Ruby users. Yeah. So there would not be a need that you export it from one Ruby, send it via email to another one. The best way would be, of course, you send it to a colleague or another shop, or even maybe you sell it to one of your customers if they're having a Trotec laser as well. So you just share those things directly in Ruby.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Well, and then last but not least, we're also having the user management and the settings in here, and just have a sneak view at the user management. I mentioned before that you can just directly add users to here as well. You just type in the email address in here, and
away we go.
Trotec. Create the user for you, and we immediately get the password here as well. We can just copy paste it to the clipboard and send it to someone. Or if we forgot it, reset the password and get a new one if we lost it, for instance.
It's really interesting to see that there's also classes. Like I can see you have admins and super admins. So
exactly. So the super admin is really the user when you register for Ruby, is really the user more or less that cannot be deleted as well. That's really the super admin of your Ruby account. Yep. So there's always one there who has this role, and this one cannot be deleted. But then you can also assign them, for now, you can assign them with admin permissions, and the administrators really, for instance, can also, only administrators can toggle this button here, show file from other users. And
Okay.
when looking at this now, we're having 3 users in our Ruby account here. And when I hit this button, we would also see the files, the jobs, and the designs from all the other users as well. And we can actually open them and start working on them. We can save them as our new ones, but we cannot modify the original ones. So we cannot delete, for instance, accidentally the file of someone else. But we can open it and save it as a new one, and can then edit it and can have a copy for our own, for instance.
That's really nice. You know, say someone calls in sick, they spent the previous day working on a job that needs to go out that day. You can just like, oh, I'm just gonna, yoink, steal it, and then get the job out. So that's a nice feature. Like being able to control your files. I mean, if your business is running your laser, that's really critical.
Yeah.
Exactly, and actually only admins can add new users. Yeah, so a user can work with the software, can do the jobs there, but an admin can also create new users and give other user rights.
Yeah.
So that's
and
as you saw with the password change, maybe when you logged in the first time, you get the request, of course, for safety to rechange your password. That everything is secure and you can use your own one, and nobody can, or it would be not good to share it. Let's say like this.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, you don't have to now, right? Like that's the whole idea. If you're working on some side project or whatever it is, your projects become your own. Is there the ability for you to have like global projects? Like say you're an admin and you want to be able to distribute projects to people. It might be an advanced thing, but
that's what we're aiming for as well. So especially when we think of the real web connectivity, between the different users, it's our aim that we have, let's say, people only working in the design phase, because they're somewhere really in your company. They are designers. They're only creating the artwork. Then they're sending the project to one person who is doing all the preparations on the machine. So he's working now in the prepare phase. So really this interacting is the aim, and this is why we need this user management for. So there will be different roles, of course, for the future. At the moment, it's the admins and the users. We have a one-on-one connection at the moment.
Gotcha. It's good to see all these things are here, and they look to be very functional. And then the expectation, or rather the plan, is that you can keep adding more on top of it, right? Like you're building this pretty broad, from what I can see, base that's able to do a lot. So
exactly. So this is why we're doing this beta version as well, because as Alex said, we would like to have the input. We would like to have the information from everyone. What would be your idea for a perfect workflow? So give us your informations that we can really shape and improve Ruby to the best product that we can get. So this is why we need this input. We can have a starter point, but the input from the people who are really working with it daily is super appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. I'm eager to try it. I can't wait.
Alex, was there anything else that you wanted to show? Oh, you were okay.
Just very briefly left. Also, we're having the settings in here. So of course you can also change between metric and imperial. The language can be changed in here as well. Then there's some different options and possibilities how you import layer PDFs, especially when working with different programs. This can be very handy.
Default home
also
positions, all this jazz,
Exactly. So you can either select if it should, after a job is processed, it should move to 0, 0 to the top again, or where it started, or you can actually also define a custom position where you want it to be.
Like a loading position, for instance.
Exactly. So your laser axis and laser head is out of the way. You can actually just easily grab all your material. And then
are these per user? Sorry.
That's global.
It's global. Okay.
Yeah, it's global. And gasket, exhaust pre-runtime, all these things, and also the lens can be changed in here. In this case now, because I have some jobs in the queue, I get the message, changes in device settings are not allowed when the queue is not empty. So we need to clear the queue first, and then we can also change those settings in here.
Cool.
And last but not least, just go to the management screen first, because when you start with Ruby, there's also a little guide, a tour that helps you to go through everything. There's also the hint with the question mark that shows all the shortcuts, but really there's also a tour that explains the most important functionalities, most important areas in Ruby. And you can also access this per screen. So you can always start it per screen if you want some more details, more hints on this. And really the last thing now is also the feedback functionality. Yeah. We have built in Ruby, so we can click on there and you can just directly submit the feedback to us. And we will work on this now. And you will always be, if you submit an idea, you will always be updated on the current status of your idea.
So making a ticket, yeah.
Making a ticket more or less, as we really want to, and for those users who have already been part of the closed beta in April, for instance, they see that many things, a lot of their feedback has actually made its way already to Ruby. As Stefan said, we really want to work this product together.
Absolutely, yeah. So because it's a web-based program, it seems like it would just update in the background sort of thing, or would there be like a change log that comes out, or hey, here are some new features? Like, can users expect to see when new features are added?
For now, as we are installing still on the Windows PC, the users will get notifications. So in my case, I'm using one of our internal versions, and there was just a new version before, but I can manually check it as well for a new version, and I get the info, okay, mine one is up to date. But really, every time there's a new update available, these users will get the notification that it is there, and it's just around 150 megabytes, so you just download it and install it within a minute or so and get the benefit of the latest features then.
Very cool.
Great.
Alex, are you good to go?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to ask Colin just before we leave. I mean, can you give us maybe your first impression? I know you've had maybe 1 week experience with job control. I know you've had experience with lasers in the past. What do you think? Like first impression?
And now a 1 hour crash course.
1 hour crash course. Yeah. So, given my laser history and what I use on a daily basis, and then like trying job control. And then seeing this, like this is very much the step that I think Trotec needed to take to make a user accessible software. Like job control, like when I hopped into it, my first look at job control, like there were like so many buttons and so many things to like experiment, and not everything was super clear. But like I did get good parts out of it. I mean, like I can cut, I can make good cuts. I'm eager to see how Ruby does, like in my own experience, but like from the explanation there, like everything's like interlinked, common sense things are just done. And it's nice to see that feedback is actually being implemented as features. I mean, your users need the experience, and you making changes at those requests is amazing to see as a customer. So yeah, I'm eager to try it out, and I think you guys have done a great job from the crash course we just had. It's very cohesive.
Definitely. Well, I mean, like I said, we'll post this video online. If you guys out there have any questions, you can leave them in the comments of the description of the video. I don't need to do any introductions to Linus Media. You guys could definitely check out their channel. We're going to do a lot more collaborations with Linus in the future. Check out their channel when they post Trotec videos. I want to thank Stefan and Alex again for staying late. I know it's nighttime in Austria already, so it's morning in Vancouver, but it's really great, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. And thanks for calling. Hopefully we'll do more in the future.
Absolutely. You'll see me again. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having us, and nice to meet you, Colin. And I'm sure we'll see each other again.